Welcome to Action Hour. I'm Lindsay Baker, and today we are going to take you live to the LA Zoo for a protest that's going on to free Billy the elephant, who has been in captivity there for over 30 years. Now, today happens to be World Elephant Day, which is very significant. And just by coincidence, I happen to have two other activists and founders of organizations for elephant welfare. So let's welcome to our show Barbara Lovett, president of Save Nosy Now Inc. And she is coming to us from Florida. And we are just waiting moments away for Tony Shale to come on from LA at the protest. So Tony's going to cut in any moment. But we also have Mary Ann Home, who is president and founder of Lucy's Edmonton Advocate Project, also known as LEAP. Now, good news, Nosy has been released to sanctuary in Tennessee. Is that right, Barbara?
Yes, she was released in 2017, thanks to all the very good work of many organizations. I'd like to say that Save Nosy Now was very instrumental in getting her there. I believe that the people that were involved were some of the most passionate people I've ever worked with. And it was a wonderful thing to see after several years of working every angle to try to get her out. But she's now at the Tennessee Elephant Sanctuary. There are only 2 accredited sanctuaries in the US, and she's at one of the bigger ones. So we're very pleased to see her there.
Well, that's really great news. And I want to get people a little bit up to speed on what World Elephant Day is. And I found the perfect video to do so. So let's watch.
40 to 50,000. That is the number of elephants left on this planet. As the ancient giants face endangerment, the world celebrates World Elephant Day with the single aim to reach out to people and educate them on the plight of elephants. World Elephant Day was first observed on the 12th of August 2012 when a Thailand-based organization, Elephant Reintroduction Foundation, teamed up with a Canadian filmmaker, Patricia Sims, to mark a day dedicated to the gentle giants. The day is a rallying call for people to support organizations that are working to stop the illegal poaching and trade of elephant ivory, protect wild elephant habitats, and provide sanctuaries for domestic elephants to live freely. With habitat destruction, poaching, illegal wildlife trade, human-elephant conflict, the huge mammals are at the risk of extinction. And though some populations of elephants are secure and expanding, there has been a 50% decline in the population of Asian elephants in the last 75 years. So will this Elephant Day bring out new solutions to create a sustainable and safe environment for these creatures where they can thrive? Or will we soon see the last of the fascinating creatures that have roamed our planet since the...
Wow, that is just very, very bad news. And of course, we want people to know what's going on today. This is World Elephant Day. I'm currently here with Barbara Lovett from Save Nosy Now. Now, Nosy has gone to sanctuary. Unfortunately, Mary Ann Home, who is in charge of LEAP, founder and president of LEAP, unfortunately, not so for, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Help me. Lucy, of course, Lucy. I'm so sorry. And we are also here in LA, coming to you from LA. We are here. Tony Shale is coming on any moment to talk about Billy. So ladies, thank you for being on today. And I want to, if you would just talk a little bit, you belong to a coalition, correct, of elephant welfare advocates. And could you talk a little bit about that, Barbara?
Yes. Well, we came together, several organizations back a few years ago with a common purpose of providing a voice to elephants who die in circuses and zoos around the world each year, because we didn't feel that there was enough commemoration and realistic thought about those elephants and who they are and why they die in those zoos and circuses. The Vigil for Elephants was formed from this endeavor, and we have an annual vigil that we hold every year in January for the elephants that we lost the prior year. The individual lives of each elephant are commemorated annually in the live vigil. And you've generously allowed our vigil to be live on your program every year, and we're very pleased about that and very grateful.
You're welcome.
The coalition shares information across the spectrum of zoo and circus captivity, as well as the wonders of true sanctuary and the wonders of the wild. We try to educate each other as well as the public on the plights of elephants throughout the world. Most of us, of course, are in North America. The organizations that are included in this coalition are Elephant Guardians of Los Angeles, Lucy's Edmonton Advocates Project, Free the Oregon Zoo Elephants, the Elephant Advocacy Project, and my organization, Save Nosy Now. And we are constantly in contact. We have a thread on Facebook Messenger. We constantly email each other and talk almost daily about all the issues facing animals in captivity in North America. So this coalition has been very, very functional in the sense that we were able to get out and discern information to the public very quickly.
Sorry, folks, I'm trying to literally as we speak, and he's here. I'm trying to connect with our reporter in the field, and there he is. Tony, welcome. What's going on there now, Tony?
I'm just waiting for activists to show up. I'm just sitting out here in front of the LA Zoo.
Can you turn the camera around and show the folks that are not familiar? We're here at the LA Zoo in California, for those of you that are not familiar. So just flip your camera if you can. And we want to show you the front of it and the people coming in. And there will be a number of activists coming here today. They will be located along this whole area here. And what they do is, as these folks are coming in, yeah, if you could go, there we go. That's lovely. Thank you, Tony. As people are coming in here, they are telling them about World Elephant Day, the importance of it, the fact that only 40, 50,000 elephants exist now, and this is a plight of Asian and African elephants in the wild. We soon will not have any. And so folks are lining up. They're going to be lining up, I should say, and they're from an organization here in Los Angeles called LA for Animals, which is organized by Cory Mac, and I believe another activist that goes by Heather Warhorse. So I want to give everyone credit. Tony, what do you see going on? Tell us a little bit of what it's like being out there in the field.
Okay, well, I see some activists arriving. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now I hear the megaphone.
Can you get a lot closer?
Yeah, just a minute. I'll get up and go closer.
Of course, take your time. Ladies, this is very exciting. We are here, folks, at a live protest in Los Angeles.
Oh, here comes the security.
Okay, let's get this on camera. We want to see what's going on. So apparently the security are coming up to the activists.
Let's see what's happening. Okay. Oh, wait, some security is going to take pictures of the tourists. Looks like a bunch of tourists here.
Oh, that's okay. That's good. We're here peacefully, I'm sure. I'm not part of it. I get excited. So folks, if you're just tuning in, we are watching a protest in action, just yet getting started. And we also have with us live in the studio two wonderful activists and founders of very effective elephant welfare organizations. And Tony, if you could get a lot closer so we could really get in with a bird's eye view, we would appreciate it so we can hear them. And we're going to stay with Tony for a bit, but then we're going to be talking to these ladies about what you can do to help save the elephants and learn all about their organization and the work they've been doing and how you can help them, which is most important. If you can you hear that, everyone? Tony, can you go any louder? Like I say, get close. You might cut out sort of the part of the protest, but let's get in on Cory, if we could. So that's Cory Mac we hear speaking. Tony, can you get in close on Cory like you were almost interviewing her? She's almost an ant size.
Should go to sanctuary. We are in support of this.
Let us see those signs too. We want to look at the signs and see what's up close.
Information on Billy,
Thank you so much.
please come up to this table. Please come up to this table or ask for a flyer from our activists. We are here advocating for Billy the elephant to be sent to sanctuary. Today is World Elephant Day, and we honor these elephants by advocating for their release into life where they can thrive, a life where they can be healthy, a life where they can be happy. Billy the elephant is in an enclosure that he can walk from one end to the other in 30 seconds. 30 seconds one way, 40 seconds the other way. Day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. On the same path, back and forth, back and forth. If you see Billy, you'll notice that he bobs his head. This is a trauma response. This is something that elephants do when they've been traumatized, when they are distressed, when they are sad, when they are
I'm gonna mute Cory for a moment and come to you ladies. And we're gonna wait for that to build up a little bit more. We'll go back to Tony and let him tell us what's happening. But so Cory, of course, I'll start with Marianne now because we just spoke with Barbara. I'll bring you up. And do you want to comment on what she was just saying, Cory, about the life of the elephant in captivity in the zoos in general?
The elephants living in zoos just do not have enough space to maintain their health. Elephants normally roam up to 18 to 20 hours a day, foraging for food, getting a lot of exercise in large matriarchal herds. Elephants in zoos, on the other hand, are in tiny little enclosures, often standing on concrete or hard substrates, which leads to captivity-related issues. There's Lucy there. That is who my group represents, Lucy in Canada. And you can see she's alone. She's standing on concrete. They have painted trees on the wall because I'm sure Lucy's convinced that she's in the jungle. Sorry for the sarcasm there. But this is how this elephant lives. And much like what was being described at the protests, they just go back and forth. They can display signs of zoochosis, which is a sign of mental duress because they're so bored and understimulated in a zoo environment.
I just want to ask you, going back to this photo a moment, I want to go back to the photo. How large is this enclosure that she's in?
It is about 2,000 square feet. So if you can imagine, that's about the size of a family home. Yeah. And this is a 4-ton animal that weighs 9,000 pounds stuck in a tiny little cell, because that's really what it is.
Yeah. And it's just incredible because in their natural habitat, as we were saying, they travel 16 to 18 hours. And not only that, they interact with other herds. So even if they're with one or two other elephants, it's still not natural in a small enclosure. So really, there is no adequate, you would say, would you agree with this statement? Are you saying there's no adequate zoo to keep an elephant in a humane way in general?
Exactly. Even the better zoos are not adequate for an elephant to live in. Lucy lives alone, so she doesn't even have an elephant companion. And then she's up in frigid Canada, so a lot of times she's out walking on snow and ice. She doesn't have a fur coat. That would be like me running around naked outside in the cold, and her feet freeze. It's just disgusting. It really is. And then because of weather, it can go as low as -20, even -30, which is close to Fahrenheit. I'm talking Celsius, but it's almost like your -30 in Fahrenheit. And because of that, she has to stay indoors a lot if it's too cold. And studies have shown that she spends about 2/3 of her time in that tiny little cell that you saw there in the photo with the trees on the wall.
Wow, that's just unconscionable. Let's go back to Tony for a moment, and then I'm going to have a question for Barbara. I'm going to mute you because the little doggy. It's okay. Tony, are you there?
Yeah.
What's happening now on the scene? I see more people lining up. Can you get in close on them?
Okay.
Like go right up and like you're face to face 4 feet away. Maybe, can I speak to him possibly? Is anyone chanting right now? Maybe I can speak to some of the protesters there.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Kenzai Rubens.
Hi.
Hi.
What are you doing here today?
I'm here protesting on behalf of Billy, but really he's a representation for all of the animals that are in captivity right behind me. Billy has been here for 34 years, and he is right around the age that most elephants in captivity die. So I thought that was just gruesome and disgusting, and somebody should do something. And well, Cory's done it. I'm here to help.
All right. And how often do you come out here to protest?
Gosh, you know what? This is like possibly my first or second time.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
Yeah.
All right, everybody should come out here and join in.
Yeah.
Kenzaya, can you hear me?
I sure can.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm swell. I'm happier than I've ever been.
I'm so glad to see you. Kenzai is an amazing activist and contributor for Unchained TV, and we're so happy to see you.
Well, I appreciate
out there.
it.
What's the atmosphere with the other activists?
I have to say that it's a heavier, more lively feeling today because of the date itself being World Elephant Day. It just kind of reminds you that if anything is stagnant, this is very much real. It's really happening. It's not just an idea that we're trying to support. It's changed.
Okay.
Awesome.
I don't know if you can still hear with the megaphone.
Yeah, why don't we go to the megaphone? Person on the megaphone.
If you bought a ticket to the LA Zoo today, you are paid for enslavement and exploitation against other individuals. Just because they are not human does not make them inferior. Just because they don't look and sound like you does not make them less. Billy the elephant has been here for over 30 years. Imagine if that were you, taken away from your family, ripped away from your parents at an early age, to become a spectacle, to have your life reduced to an existence. Think about it. As you walk inside, look
can hear that the activists are chanting at the moment. And I want to go back now for a moment to Barbara. And I would like you to tell us about the role of the Association of Zoos and Aquarium and the USDA, which really surprised me. Can you speak on those issues?
Yeah, a little bit. The Association of Zoos and Aquariums, or the AZA, is the regulatory group that has been put together to come up with some basic regulations and rules regarding animals in zoos. And they have specific information about what a zoo can do and cannot do in regards to elephants. The USDA licenses zoos, so they provide the license, which allows the zoo to exhibit the elephants in their exhibits at the zoo. And the USDA is charged under the Animal Welfare Act to keep, according to the rules of the Animal Welfare Act, to keep those animals in some kind of good order. Unfortunately, even though the Animal Welfare Act is a pretty aggressive and good law that we have for animals and has been in place for many, many years, it's not always enforced. The AZA lays out different rules than the AWA, and the USDA just does not tend to enforce zoos the way they do with animal agriculture, for example. So there are so many citations and violations that come out of circuses and zoos that and they just keep adding up. But the USDA does not do much of anything else besides do that. They don't enforce the actual law that is in place under the Animal Welfare Act. So we're very worried about this situation and would like to see legislation changed so that somebody else besides the USDA is in charge of the Animal Welfare Act and can really make those regulations work for the animals, not just give lip service to it. There are hundreds of violations of the AWA every day in zoos and circuses. And you'll find that a lot of elephants also live in roadside attractions that are not even certified by the AZA or regulated by anyone. So
Wow.
it's a really tough place for elephants to be. Any place in captivity is tough, zoos especially.
I wanted to come in here for a moment and tell everyone about our wonderful network, our streaming network that is completely free, Unchained TV. You can download it. Just go to watch.unchainedtv.com. You'll see programming like this. You'll also see documentaries. You'll see comedy shows. You'll see music shows. You'll see cooking shows. You'll see award-winning movies. So please support us because we are doing this. We are all volunteers on this network, and we are bringing you wonderful programming with people like this that need to have their voice out there and who the mainstream media basically ignores. So we want to get the word out there for them. So please, if you're watching, share this out. And also, if you're interested in, I would like to ask you ladies, what would be the best way, because some people will have to go, but we're going to keep going. But for those that might need to leave, what is the best way to help with the situation? And then we'll go back into more questions.
Well, I can take part of it, and then Marianne can also come in. There are various things that can be done by the public. As you can see, there's a great protest going on today in LA. So if you can find your local activism group and your advocacy groups, please plan to join and take that kind of action. Do go out and protest. Make your voice heard. Never pay to visit a zoo or a roadside attraction or a circus with your elephants. That's the number one thing. Revenue is very important to the zoos. Without the revenue, the zoos would be folding. And we'd like to see more zoos, especially getting rid of their elephants in a way that they are able to go to sanctuary and enjoy a life of independence and autonomy, rather than living in these small habitats like Lucy is, so that they can enjoy their lives and be with other elephants. One of the biggest things that we take away from elephants is family when we take them into captivity. And they're forced in many situations to be with other elephants that they may not like or get along with, just like we wouldn't if we were forced into relationships. So we need to find a way to get them to sanctuary where they can they can choose. They can be by themselves, they can be with other elephants, they can roam around, do their thing, be autonomous, be independent, and have as much say in their own welfare as they can. The other thing is never ride an elephant or bathe an elephant at a facility anywhere in the world. That is just pure exploitation. It is for profit only, and the elephants, you good picture right there. This is for anybody to know. Never bathe or ride an elephant. If you see an elephant at a roadside attraction, report the sighting to the USDA in your district so that a report can be formally made. If you're at a zoo and you see something questionable in the treatment or behavior of an elephant, report it to the USDA to do a welfare check. Write letters to the editor of your local paper about the problems of captivity and how you see it as an individual and as a constituent of various local legislators. And get on those local legislators and state legislators and federal legislators to do the work that they're proposed to do. Have them become part of the Animal Welfare Caucus in Congress. Stay on their butts every day, try to keep them apprised of what's going on with elephant captivity.
If people would want to get more information of how to proceed, they can certainly go to your website. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes. SafeNoseyNow.org.
Yeah, I have actually. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to.
That's okay. SafeNoseyNow.org is our website. Marian, why don't you take over and talk about some of the other things that people.
Well, just a moment. I want to play a little video first. And also I want to make a comment. Tony's back for one thing. I do want to comment. We're not trying to put zoos out of business. We would like to see them change their business model. They can become non-animal entertainment entities related to animals with the technology we have today. There's infinite possibilities, and many companies are transitioning. A good example is carriage horses to electric carriages. The workers are happier. So we're not trying to put people out of work. We're not trying to close companies. We are trying to help people to evolve. So I wanted to say that quickly. I will give Marianne a moment to answer as well. Let's just cut to Tony for a moment and see what's happening at the zoo. Tony, what's going on now?
Yeah, it's very noisy right now. A lot of activists making a lot of noise here.
We'll stay with you for a moment and we'll come back. We'll cut back in a few more minutes, but let's hang on for a moment. How many people would you say are there right now, Tony? I see they're spread out.
Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 10 people here.
Okay, well, very effective for those 10 people, and we're so thrilled to see them there. I think it's going to go on for another hour.
There's about maybe 13. I see 13 people.
13, yeah. I think it's going on for another hour and a half. So we're going to stay with you there. And I'm just going to go back to the ladies for a moment. But we will keep in touch. Okay, so where did we leave off? I think, Marianne, you were going to address that, how people could help, that question. Oops.
Barbara covered a good majority of the issues. Here in Canada, slightly different, but basically the same idea. Reach out to the politicians who are responsible for the suffering. In our city, the city owns our zoo, so we want people reaching out to city councillors. Our provincial ministers are supposed to regulate the zoo standards and the Animal Protection Act, but they don't, much like what Barbara described. So we need people reaching out to them as well. And the other thing is, as we all know, social media is very powerful. At LEAP, we are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We have a YouTube channel. All of those posts that we put up need to be shared and shared widely. So Lucy, for example, through social media and networking is well known throughout the world. Her plight is not just known in Canada. We have supporters from the UK to Asia to Australia, the United States, Mexico. So just getting the word out, and we want our politicians to understand that this isn't just an issue in your city, but the world is looking at how you're keeping these animals, and they're looking at it with disgust. At least those that understand animals shouldn't be jailed for profit. In particular, elephants. We know that elephants, more than almost any other species of animal, suffer in zoos. And that's merely because, well, first of all, many elephants captive in zoos are not in the appropriate climate. They've been taken from their homelands. Lucy was kidnapped from the wild. She's a Sri Lankan elephant. She's 48 years old. And as you see in this picture, she is standing with two zookeepers holding bull hooks who will control her every move, no matter where she goes. This was not the way she was supposed to live. She was taken from her herd as a baby, and she arrived in my city when she was 2 years old. And now she's been alone almost that entire time. She spent a short time with an African elephant, but she has never been with another Asian elephant. She's never known a friend that she can speak to. There you see Lucy painting. That's another thing that people should not support. If you see paintings for sale by elephants, don't buy them. In order to teach these animals to do things like painting and silly tricks and circus tricks, they go through a very abusive training process when they're young called elephant crush, where they are literally deprived of food. They are chained by all four legs and they are beaten, and to the point where they finally succumb and don't fight anymore. And then sadly, they just, innocently just forget. Well, they don't forget, but they give up the lives that they were supposed to have. They are now fearful of the people who are looking after them. And then they become compliant to do the silly tricks that zoos make elephants do, and circuses as well. So please don't ever buy a ticket. Don't buy a painting. Do not attend anything like a zoo or a circus show or an elephant show. In Asia, there are all kinds of exploitative things that go on, like elephant riding. Don't do it. All the elephants are tortured to make them docile enough to do that. On the screen right now is something that we fundraised for, and that's Lucy's billboard. And because the media, as you mentioned, the mainstream media, doesn't really want to report on this stuff. So we rely on organizations like yours, Lindsay, to help us get the word out. But in my city, we have put up this huge billboard that's on a busy road to just get the message out, because recently Lucy was examined by world-renowned experts, and the consensus, 2 out of 3 of those reports say that Lucy should and must go to sanctuary as soon as possible. We heard about Billy being in his mid-30s. Lucy is 48, and it's very rare that you will see an elephant live past 50. On the contrary, if you look at sanctuary elephants, you can see them living into their 70s, 80s, and even sometimes their 90s. So what zoos will do, including the zoo where I live, is imply that these are geriatric elephants. Lucy is always called a geriatric elephant because it helps explain why she moves so slowly, why she looks old and unwell, but she's a middle-aged elephant. And I volunteered in sanctuaries with elephants almost twice her age that could run circles around Lucy because she is suffering from arthritis, foot problems, obesity, from standing on hard substrates and not getting the exercise that she should be getting.
Right. I have a video about that. Let's watch.
Okay. Lucy's been in captivity here in Edmonton since 1977. She was captured from the wilds of Sri Lanka in 1975. She came to this city at the age of 2. Elephants in their natural type of habitats are boisterous, they're social, they're active. As opposed to Lucy, who is a very withdrawn, sad elephant who you can clearly see is in pain. She very rarely vocalizes, and of course, why would she? She doesn't have another elephant that she can speak with. Lucy's Edmonton Advocates Project is a grassroots group of citizens who are animal lovers and have an informed interest in elephant welfare. And today we're at City Hall here in Edmonton for our 29th visit. Up until now, they've refused to allow us to speak. And so we attend the City Hall public hearings in the hopes that they will one day put Lucy on the agenda so that we can talk about options for her future. In zoos, we see that animals are used more as a commodity and as a form of entertainment.
Senator People, give her a big round of applause for showing us her teeth.
A way to bring in revenue.
Wow, it just brings home everything you were saying. And this is just such a critical issue. Folks need to take action. Please help. We were going to, actually, I think the 2 websites are already up on this post, but I will be adding more links for you guys to take action. We're going to go back to the zoo in let's just pop in there for a moment, see what's going on. So Tony,
Yep.
hey there. What's happening now?
There's about 15 activists here. One of them on a bullhorn. Well, several have bullhorns. Can you hear them?
Yeah, what's the reaction of the people in the audience? The people walking into the zoo, what's the reaction?
There's nobody going in at the moment, but I don't know how many people have stopped to ask questions on their way going in. I don't see too many people going in at the moment.
Right. Well, we don't know if that's because of the protesters, but I'm sure they're getting the message, even if we're not acting as if they are. And we know that Billy is living also, he's there in the zoo. He's living an unnatural life, according to experts that have stated it. There's papers, there's a white paper I see, and there's also an organization. We're going to talk to these ladies more about some of this information, what the experts say, and where the information can be found. But basically, it's so important that people know that this is World Elephant Day, and we are at the point where we may lose these gentle giants, that we are at a critical moment in time. And I hear as one of my guests referred to them, hounds of Baskerville here as my husband returns home from the hospital. So he had to go to emergency, and I apologize for the noise. But back to the story. Where did we leave off? Barbara, I was going to ask Barbara this next question. There is a trend. There's a trend towards sending elephant to sanctuary. What are the benefits for the zoos in doing so?
Well, the zoo benefits in positive feedback and reinforcement from the public, especially we who are involved in elephant advocacy and activism. We laud their choice to send the elephants to sanctuaries. Of course, elephants are going to do better in sanctuary strictly because of space and the attention that they get, and the ability to be independent and autonomous. You're seeing a picture of Nosy there. Shortly after she arrived, this was in 2018. She arrived in November of 2017. So she'd been there a few months when this picture was taken, and you can already see that she's looking bright and her head is up and she's responding to the local flora and fauna around her. There she is, hanging onto her hay. She's been known to knock down trees. She's been loving the mud wallows in the pond and doing her swimming. And recently she's been introduced to a couple of the new African elephants that have just come to the sanctuary. An African elephant named Artie was introduced to her, as well as African elephant Jana. And they are getting along famously, and we hope that this is going to provide relationship needs for all of those elephants that are there. Sanctuary is the be all and end all for a zoo to send their elephants to, because it is the ultimate in elephant welfare and health for them.
That's amazing. Let's show a little piece of the sanctuary with Nosy. Wow. So will they eventually take that down?
We hope so. We hope that will be the case, that they will get a chance to actually be in the same habitat together. Right now, I know that Nosy is spending some time with an Asian elephant that she was introduced to along a fence line similar to that, and has had quite a lot of interactions with her over that fence. So now they're sharing the same habitat. So it's possible, for elephants to, even though they may not speak the same language as Asian and African elephants do not, and they don't have the same culture, they're still able to provide each other some comfort and some relationship. So it's a wonderful thing to see. That was Artie that you saw there in the video. He has just come to the sanctuary from a zoo, and we're very grateful to have him there. And you can see how big he is compared to Nosy. Nosy was the little elephant. We've always called her the little elephant because she tends to be smaller than most African elephants. And Artie just is huge next to her. So seeing them in the same habitat and getting along well will be a miracle for us. Nosy hasn't seen an African elephant since she was about 2 years old, except for those that she might have run into on the road when she was in the circus, when she was being traipsed around the country from place to place. So this is a real wonderful thing to finally be with somebody from her own species. Most sanctuaries, true sanctuaries, will provide whatever they can to make the elephants feel more involved in their lives and more autonomous and independent, but they'll also provide the opportunity for those elephants to just be elephants.
And that's really the most important thing, to give them back their lives. Let's cut back to the zoo and see what's up with Tony. So Tony, we're back.
Okay. All right.
How's it going? Maybe we can get a little closer in on the activists and hear what they're saying.
They teach them the ways of elephants.
Can you hear on the bullhorn?
They teach them.
Can you get a little closer?
How to thrive.
Yeah.
How to survive.
I'm sitting down, so let me get up. Hold on.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much for being there, by the way, Tony. I know it's gruelingly hot there.
Everything it means to be an elephant.
It's okay, I have an umbrella.
Good.
The one thing he wasn't robbed is his memory. Elephants, as you know,
Of course, this
have
is
long
Cory
memories.
Mac, who is the organizer and I believe founder, someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe she is the founder of LA
Ripped
for
from his
Animals.
family, stolen.
And she organizes events along with Kirsten Cluster
He remembers
and another
a
activist
very
called
scared
goes
4-year-old.
by the handle Warhorse Member, who has done a lot of work for elephants and horses. So there are many, many people working on this. But we need more. We need more support.
who did awful things to him. He was alone, had no one to comfort him. The LA Zoo took it upon themselves to start teaching Billy circus tricks, how to stand on his hind legs. Elephants don't need to do circus tricks. And not only that, but to teach an elephant that, you have to break them. You have to break their soul. You have to destroy their heart. You have to make them give no resistance.
Tony, I think that's
They
a
lose
great
all
idea.
self-respect.
We can catch Cory and interview her in a little bit. So I'm going to cut back to the ladies for now. We'll be back. Hopefully we can get Cory before we close.
Chains and ropes. They separated Billy's legs so he could hardly move. They hit him with bullhooks. They hit him with electrified prods. They doused him with water and hit him with electrified.
Okay, we want to just, warn the audience some of the things being said are very disturbing and triggering. But anything, it's no picnic for animals in zoos. And I know families go there thinking they're going there to have a good time, make family, memories, but think of the suffering of the animals that you are learning about now. And please take action. We're going to be putting up lots of links for you guys to take action. You can write, and for what I'm hearing now, the more the public outcry, we can nip this in the bud. We can, not in the bud, unfortunately, but we can stop this now. So please help out. Please follow these ladies on their social, go to their websites, donate money. I want to give you each an opportunity, anything we have not covered. There's an organization called White Oak Conservation. Can you talk a little, whoever feels comfortable, who wants to cover that?
I will. White Oak Conservation is an organization in Florida that is all about breeding. And a year or two ago, they took in 13 of the former ringling elephants. As we all know, ringling shut down quite a few years ago, and we were all screaming in surprise and shock and wonder that they were finally off the road and not dealing with having the elephants deal with all the different problems with going to circuses throughout the country. But White Oak has purchased 13 of the younger female elephants from ringling, and they are now being bred for distribution to the zoos. Mm-hmm. What we're finding is that there are various issues around zoos getting new elephants and making sure that their population stays up. One of the biggest problems is an organization called CITES. CITES is an organization that allows trade of elephants throughout the world, and there are various nations that are involved in CITES. CITES stands for the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. And there are about 180 trade nations involved. They allow the trade of the species in many instances that allow for elephants to be captured and transported around the world. And even though there seems to be a bigger backlash against that in the international community, there seems to be still a small contingent of some countries who like to profit from what they consider their resources, and elephants are indeed a resource and a commodity in various situations and in various countries. And in 2016, there were 17 elephants actually moved to 3 zoos in the United States, and one of them died in transport. Others have been moved around in different places in those zoos so that they're with other elephants that were already there. But the whole idea is to keep breeding elephants. And White Oak Conservation is not helping in that regard in breeding these 30 and 40-year-old elephants, or attempting to anyway, with artificial insemination and natural
So they're
insemination.
breeding 50-year-old elephants to have a baby? Isn't that impossible? Don't they?
No. Well, yeah, that's impossible. I'm saying they're younger. They're in their 30s, early 40s. They're still capable of having babies. But
So elephants are a lot like people in a
yes, they
sense.
are. Yes, they are.
I think one of the things I'd like to cover, and I haven't delved into this organization, White Oak, so we don't want to go too far into the weeds here, because we haven't been able to do research on it. But I take your word for it, and would like to look into this more. But what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the travesty because of the intelligence of the elephants. And also, we want to, just before we end, we want to talk about the report from Bob Jacobs, which I believe is a white paper that was done. Is he a scholar? Or
Yeah, he's a professor of neuroscience at Colorado College in the United States. And his paper is titled Putative Neural Consequences of Captivity for Elephants and Cetaceans. And in this, he talks about the negative impacts that life in captivity can have on elephants. He says that thinning tissues and shrinking blood vessels in the brain and connections between brain cells becoming less complex are a terrible consequence of captivity. Decades of studying brains of humans, African elephants and humpback whales and other mammals has led this Professor Jacobs to the conclusion that the brain's great sensitivity to the environment means life in captivity can damage the organ's complex circuitry. So animals in captivity show this by displaying abnormal, repetitive, stereotypic behavior. You see that in Lucy, you see it in Shendra at the Oregon Zoo, you see it in Asha in Virginia, you see it in Bubbles at Myrtle Beach Safari, you see it in all the captive elephants that are out there. In every zoo, enclosures are designed first and foremost to display wild animals to visitors. What's offered to animals is limited by money and the site space and understanding of the species requirements. And all too often, the zoo enclosures reflect only cosmetic similarities to the richness and diversity and space and challenges that animals have evolved to encounter. So Dr. Jacobs' white paper is one of the most important studies that has been done on the actual effects of captivity in elephants. And it should be taken with a huge grain of salt, because not only does it tell us exactly what's happening with elephant and cetacean brains when they're in captivity, but it lets the zoos know, it puts the zoos on notice that this is not the right kind of life for them, that they should be considering alternatives in sanctuaries.
Right. And we want to give Marianne a chance now to talk a little bit about what can be done to help Lucy receive her freedom. What can people do? Because she's still like Billy, and we're going to go back to Billy to finish up, but like Billy, she's still in captivity. What can we do?
As I mentioned, just getting the word out about Lucy, contacting media if you have any connections with the media, programs like yours, and just sharing. If you go to our Facebook group, which is Lucy's Edmonton Advocates Project, and we go by LEAP as short, and look us up, you can join our group. In our group, we always have calls to action. So that might be a tweet storm on Twitter. That may be an email storm where we provide you the addresses of officials responsible for Lucy's captivity. So there's tools there that people can use to help. The phone number for our city to contact them and tell them about how wrong it is to keep Lucy alone and in this cold climate and in a tiny, tiny barren cell resembling nothing like what she's supposed to live in. So just getting the word out, and if you join a group like ours or the LA group there, Go out to demonstrations, power in numbers, but don't go to the zoo, and do not buy a ticket to the zoo. And if you know anybody who maybe isn't well educated about the suffering that these animals go through, tell them, show them the videos. We have a lot of videos on our YouTube channel, Leap Edmonton, and let people look. There's pictures of Lucy displaying zoochosis, the stereotypical movements Barbara mentioned, where she's rocking back and forth. And that's what she's doing to soothe herself because of things that Bob Jacobs discovered. Their brains are being damaged and withering away while they're in captivity. And the only way they can soothe themselves is by this back and forth rocking motion. And so people just need to understand. And the other thing is those that go to the zoo, it's been understood that they spend less than a minute looking at the animals. They don't often read the signage to learn about their background or where they come from. And then they move along to the next one. And then they maybe don't come back for 2 or 3 years. And then they bring their family again and they look at them for another 25 seconds. So these animals sit there for years and years and years. And in Lucy's case, 46 years, she has been stuck in that tiny little cell, all because someone will come and gawk at her for 20 seconds every now and then. And it's just utterly disgusting. People have to be less selfish and think about the animals that they're looking at and how they must feel.
Absolutely. Well, ladies, we are just about at the end of our hour, but I will put up your social media contact information. I'm going to go to the zoo for a moment here. Let's go ahead and see what's going on at LA Zoo. So, Tony, we're back with you. We're going to be wrapping up soon. Just maybe if you could grab Cory for a moment. Is that possible? Or motion to her that we want to interview her.
Okay.
All right. We would love to talk to her. Anyone else there that would like to speak to us? We won't be on too much longer, but if we can just grab someone.
This motion would send him to a safe place, a sanctuary where he will have 15 acres to roam. He will have veterinarians 24/7. He will be surrounded by people who know how to make Billy happy, not surrounded by hordes of gawkers, people laughing and pointing at him, because sanctuaries aren't for people. Sanctuaries are for the beings inside them. Sanctuaries are homes to the animals on their land. They're safe places. It's their home. They live there. They make the rules. They don't have to do anything for humans. They can live their natural lives free from being forced to entertain humans, free from doing tricks for humans, free from all the pain and misery that humans inflict on them, from all the strictures they place on them, from all the ways that they make their lives miserable, sad, unnatural. Billy the elephant in sanctuary would thrive. He would become healthier. He would become happy. He would become a whole elephant in a natural setting.
Tony, we're going to be going off the air now. Thank you so much for your help there in the field. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you so much for covering this, and we will put information as to how people can help free Billy from the zoo as well. So ladies, I want to bring you back on for just one last moment here, and thank you so much for being on. We're running a little bit over time. Is there anything we didn't cover that you absolutely feel you could cover in the next few minutes?
I would just say that everybody should get involved if they're interested in elephant captivity, getting elephants out of that kind of captivity and getting it into the best kind of captivity in sanctuaries. We know we can't send them back to the wild, but we can send them to a better life.
How about you, Marianne? Anything you want to say?
I reiterate what Barbara says, and also just speak out for elephants everywhere, not only the ones in zoos, but the ones that are being poached in Africa. There's so much horror being inflicted on elephants worldwide, and their numbers are declining rapidly. And people think that zoos will bring back numbers of elephants because they try to breed, but it's often unsuccessful. And they're not breeding because they're sending the elephants to the wild. They're breeding because these elephants are dying prematurely in zoos where they could be living the same age as humans. They're dying before they even turn 50, sometimes before 40. So they're getting desperate because they've lost all of their commodities, and their collection is the word that zoos like to use, which drives me crazy. So remember, when you see a baby elephant being born in a zoo, chances are he may not survive till adulthood. Lots of babies die prematurely. And if there's a pregnant elephant, she may miscarry. They're very unsuccessful in breeding. And we're almost grateful for that, because they're just breeding another elephant into jail.
Into slavery, so to speak. Yeah. So, okay. Well, thank you so much. We will be following up on this story and keep you folks posted. I know we have another interview with more advocates from your coalition that are coming on, and certainly we will get an update on the situation for Lucy. We want to see her released. We want to see Billy released. We want to see all elephants go to sanctuary. And basically, it's a whole new paradigm. For those in other countries that they have no other resources, so they feel, because of their situation, than to use the elephants, we, those in the more privileged parts of the world, can come in and help and retrain them, and that's happening. So a lot is going on the positive side, but we do need you folks to take action to help these people, educate the public. So please follow them, help them. They are doing amazing work. And I want to thank you ladies both from the bottom of my heart for what you've done and what you continue to do to save elephants and other animals as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Thanks for having us on.
Thanks so much for having us. And retire Lucy.
Yes, retire Lucy and free Billy.
Yes.
Okay, stay on. I'm going to end the broadcast.